Class, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Cesar, your friend Cesar. You can call me Cesar or Cesar, and either way is fine with me, not a problem. Let's go with today's class. First thing, introduction to the concept of file system in Rocky Linux. So let's go with the virtual machine. Remember, you have to start your virtual machine. And if you go here to activities, you click in the terminal, you will be able to see some information that is popping up. And this is where we have the famous terminal. Something that we're going to do first is to get familiarized with the terminal and with the commands and everything. So first command, ls minus l, will list all of the directories that we have, starting with the D. The it is the lowercase d that represents a directory. So all of these are directories. Very interesting. This is the first command that we have learned so far. ls space, uh, it is a dash, and then l. Now let's go with the today's class. It is crucial to learn and understand the file system configuration and the system administration. So we have opened the terminal, Windows. In order to do that, you have to do the following. You go to activities and you click in this icon that says terminal, and it will pop up the information. Once you are there, you can start doing your magic, doing your commands. Let's close this window at this moment so you can this clearly. And let's go with the guide that we have prepared for today's class. I will share all of this with you. So if you execute Control Alt T, let me see if I have the option, because since I am in a virtual machine, I don't know if I have the option. I think it's Control Shift T with this virtual machine. Let me try that. Control Shift T. It just create another. All right, let me do something. Let me click on F1 to see if something happened. I think it usually happens when we are in VirtualBox, but in this one, it doesn't really do anything. F7. Let me do some research and I'll come back because I want to show you something, how to get to the terminal mode only with no graphical interface. So let me just do that. Let me do some research and I'll be back with you in a second. Okay. All right, so I found the option is actually Control Alt and then F6, Control Alt F6. And if you go here and you add your information, CSRM server, and then your password, you will be in terminal mode only. Basically, we are navigating through directories here, ls, ls-l, and that is basically to go from the graphical interface to terminal mode only. Mainly in production servers, sometimes they don't have a graphical interface. They only have the terminal mode only. So it's important that you know how to run the commands, especially if you don't have a graphical interface. With Ctrl Alt F2, you will be able to go back to the graphical interface. And here we are. Let's continue with the lesson, with the class. So today we are going to take a moment to learn our first commands in Linux operating system, Rocky. So pwd, what that command is used for? Let's run it. Pwd. That commands will tell us where we are located in exactly like the route where we are or the path where we are at a specific moment in the Linux operating system. Let's look at the definition. Uh, Basically, it presents the working directory. That's it, the main and basic definition for what does the pwd command does. So it will show us the directory where we are currently working on. Now let's look at the following commands. I already explained it, but I will go over it again. So ls, what is ls? You can actually type dir or ls. It will show us the same information, basically the directories. If you type ls minus L, you will see actually the permissions. That is something that we will work along later during lessons, future lessons, regarding the topics of permissions in Rocky Linux operating system. I keep saying Alma Linux and CentOS 7 because it used to be that so many years and it suddenly changed to Rocky Linux. So it's an interesting point of view. Let's look at the following command. So if we go to the agenda for today, to the step-by-step guide, we are going to type cd etc, cd space etc, ls, and you will see ls minus L. You will see some files and directories as well of the operating system by itself, per se. There is a command that you can actually run, which is tree. If you try that, it will show us a more organized option of those directories and different files that we have there. So let's look at one of these directories. Let's choose one. For example, the network configuration is a very interesting one. Network manager. If we go here and we type tree network manager, you will see all of the files and the directories in the network manager location. ls minus L and network manager would show us as well the directories and files. We have a total of 8 directories and 2 files. Very interested indeed. So let's continue with the guide and let's look for the following command, cd dat. Basically, it let us come back to the previous directory. So if we are here, for example, and we type cd dat and dat, enter, we go back to the previous directory, pwd. Okay, cd etc. And basically cd is to navigate between directories. It has a, I think the meaning of it is change directory. I don't know if we have that over here. I read it somewhere. It is change directory. And basically we move between different directories. If we type at this moment pwd, we are in a different directory. We are in the etc directory. So it's very interesting how we become familiarized with the different directories and files and the operating system by itself, the Linux operating system. By the way, this distribution is similar to many other distributions. So if you learn Debian is very similar, but we will see some differences between Debian and Rocky Linux. Rocky Linux is more related to commands similar to Red Hat, the famous Red Hat. Let's continue with this var log. If we go to this other var log, cd, then var, then log, we will see some information there, ls, and we have some files and directories as well for variables and logs, information regarding the operating system by itself. We will explain that later in more detail, but for now, we just want you to become familiarized with the operating system itself, with the different files and directories. If we type pwd again, then we are in the var log. And if we type tree, we will see a more organized structure of the files and directories as well. So I think I already explained how to download the package, but in case I didn't, if you type yum install and then tree, you will be able to download the packet. Actually, you type sudo at the beginning and then enter. Then you type your password, and then you will be able to download this package, which is very important and useful in order to work with directories and files. Sudo space yum space install space tree. That's basically the package that I have previously installed. I think I did that in other lessons But in case I changed the lesson or I didn't explain it before, I want to explain it again so you have this understanding of how to download packages in Rocky Linux. Now, in future lessons, we will learn more deeply into how to download all the different packages and updates for our operating system. But for now, this is what we need to know. Let's continue with the guide. Okay, now ls minus l. ls minus l will show us the directories, the files, and the permissions. That is something that we will work along in future lessons and understand deeply. For now, all you need to know is that if you type, for example, one of these directories, the cron, for example, the cron is a file. The cron, it will have a dash, which it means it's a file, a document. If it has a D as in delta, it will be a directory. Let's look at an example of a directory. This one's in blue colors, Anaconda, Anaconda, Anaconda. Anaconda is a directory. In fact, but for some reason, I only see it here and it's not showing. Maybe there are more files with the name of Anaconda. Or we are accessing, oh, all right, I see what is happening. We are accessing the information in this directory, which is called Anaconda. And Anaconda has all of these documents or files. In fact, if we type cd and then Anaconda, and we type ls, we will see the same information as well. So that's basically what happened at that precise moment. I didn't realize. Now let's look at what is the end of today's lesson, what we have to go over it. Okay, so explain the meaning of various columns in the output, focusing on permissions, owner, group, and file size. Okay, that is something that we will explain in detail in future lessons, but I will go over it briefly. So if we go here, you have the read permissions, the write permissions, and when you have a dash, it means you don't have permissions at all. So that is basically it. Let's go back to the previous one, cd dot ls minus l la. All right, so if you see this one, for example, the Anaconda we have been working on, we have it is a directory, we have read, write, and execute permissions. We have read, no permissions, with the dash basically means we don't have permissions. The X is execute. The read is basically to read the files, permission to read a file, but we cannot modify the file. And the dash, we don't have any permissions. And then the X, we have permissions to execute the file. So that is basically everything for today's lessons. I hope that you love the lesson, that you learn a lot. Please go over the lesson, take notes, practice in your terminal, and try to replicate all of the commands that we have been doing and explaining today. It is very important that you do it, that you practice and review this lab and try to complete it yourself, because like the saying, practice makes perfect. So in order to become an expert, you have to do it yourself and practice. So I hope that you like the lesson. Have an amazing week, and it's been a pleasure to practice with you and learn a little bit about the first Linux commands. Take care, guys.